What's up, everyone? Dan here, Crypto Capital Venture, March 10th, 2019. I hope you're doing well. I'm going to make this a pretty brief video, but some really important things I think we can all look out for this Sunday in terms of Bitcoin and Litecoin. So let's jump right into the video. First things first, I tweeted a little bit ago talking about what you see on the screen, this potential, inverse pattern that's setting up right now below $4,000 resistance area. But you see it's like an inverse pattern to this descending triangle that we had just above $6,000, right? Everybody remembers $6,000 area for Bitcoin. Everybody talking about a huge support area. We finally broke it through the descending triangle, and the descending triangle played out perfectly. But what it's done is it's kind of fallen into kind of a more midterm looking ascending triangle, right? So it's the inverse of the descending triangle. It's an ascending triangle. So that swing low back in December, kind of the beginning of this possible formation right now. And I wanted to throw that out there because it's interesting that we had this $6,000 support area for months back in fall into winter, or fall into December, I should say. And now going into spring, we have the opposite type of pattern, a more bullish pattern, with, instead of support, resistance at a key level, right around $4,000, $4,100. So it's really interesting, and I'm really watching closely to see how this pattern plays out. That was number one. Number two is, in context to this entire technical analysis video, what I'm looking for personally, right? We had a bullish scenario video the other day. We have bullish targets to the upside if we break above this resistance area. But what I'm looking at right now in the short term, at least today, is I'm really curious to see if we have a potential pullback in the markets and what that might look like. And the biggest thing for me is in context to this ascending triangle. If we take our Fibonacci retracement from swing low to swing high, you can see a really key area in congruence with that pullback is the 618 to 786 retracement on the Fibonacci, and you can see the confluence of this lower trend line just running right through the center of that retracement area. And it's so often seen. You have the flow of the charts, and that's usually just what it looks like, right? And that's why these Fibonacci retracements are always so reliable for us in terms of support setup and even resistance setup. So right now, what I'm curious of is to see if we make a move to this area. For me, if we see support there, it's a nice area of accumulation. It's a nice area, if I'm accumulating Bitcoin a lot, right? Anyway, I love accumulating on those negative 10% plus days, right? Those red days, those are my favorites. So I'm always trying to anticipate in the charts when that might happen. This is my approach. Please do not take it as financial advice. Please do not listen to YouTubers on when to buy or, predictions on what's going to happen next. That is not what I'm here for. I'm here to provide you the data and kind of give you an idea of what I'm looking at. So on the downside, just so you know, from where Bitcoin is now, that's looking right around that channel, that Fibonacci retracement channel, 6% down to around 10% to the downside. We could have a day like that. That would be the most interesting type of day for me to see if we show support in that area. We would break the 50 EMA on the daily chart. Wouldn't be the end of the world if we see support here. That could just be a higher low in setup. And then if we actually bounce off of that area back through the 50 EMA, that would be an extremely bullish scenario and bullish sign of Bitcoin momentum. So wanted to throw that out there for you. And then hopping over to Litecoin, just a completely different looking chart, but a lot of harmony between Litecoin and Bitcoin as always. So what I mean by that is we have this longer term rising wedge, higher highs, higher lows. Litecoin has been extremely bullish since swing low in December, but we have this longer term rising channel, and then we have a kind of a shorter term rising channel within that channel, right? So you see it here, these higher highs, higher lows, right here in Litecoin. So same thing. I'm looking for a potential retracement for Litecoin as we're testing the upper trend line of the longer term rising channel, rising wedge, and the shorter term rising wedge. It's a huge resistance area for Litecoin. You can see in the last 4 or 5 days, Litecoin has not been able to break through that area. Could it happen? I mean, we're so close to it happening. It could happen today, right? I get that. It's a possibility. Upside potential is possible. But what I'm interested in is to see if we have downside, if we have consolidation, a retracement. And it could be a healthy move for Litecoin. It could be a bullish move. And to the downside, same thing. It would be kind of, we're looking at a Fibonacci retracement setup for a higher low so we have this previous swing low, bottom of the wedge, to swing high right there. And you have a retracement on the Fibonacci, same thing. Confluent with this lower trend line, 618 down to 786, and that's $47 to $50. And you have this lower trend line running right below that. I'm anticipating a pullback to that area because for me, if we see support there, I'll accumulate a little bit, right? Would support hold? That's something we have to wait to see, and we have to get confirmation of that. But it's an area I'm looking at. And so for Litecoin, on the downside, that could potentially be 10 to 15%. And Bitcoin on the downside, we just talked about, up to around 10%. Litecoin on the downside, same type of move, up to around 15% to the downside. And it makes sense. Litecoin is usually always more volatile to the downside and the upside. So again, there's harmony between Bitcoin and Litecoin. This is something to not expect, but anticipate on the downside. It's what I'm looking at. I think, my approach to Litecoin, to Bitcoin, is I always want to buy the red days. So I'm always in my analysis trying to anticipate red days. For me, what would be interesting is to kind of see if Litecoin gets some support on the RSI in the 60 to 65 area on the RSI, the slower moving momentum oscillator, right? So currently you have kind of these lower highs in the oscillator, and I'd be curious to see if we can pivot this momentum for Litecoin if we do have a retracement down, bounce off of this trend line on the RSI and start seeing some higher highs and higher lows on the RSI. The main point in tracking this for me is basically to say there's definite room for upside potential for Litecoin on the RSI. However, a small retracement and small move momentum down wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. So those are my thoughts for Bitcoin and Litecoin. I told you it would be brief. Some really simple things to look out for. Obviously, there's a ton of other things and indicators going on, but right now, that's what I'm looking at this Sunday, March 10th. Let me know what you're looking at. Are you anticipating any types of moves? I know there's a lot of bullish people thinking we're going to explode right through this upper trend line of resistance on Litecoin as well as Bitcoin. It could happen. But we just did a bullish video about that scenario the other day. I thought today would be nice to talk about potential retracements and what to possibly be ready for. I hope you're doing well out there. I hope you're having an awesome Sunday. If you're here and you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you as part of the channel. I will see you all in the next video. Have a great day and God bless.